Well, hello everyone and welcome to the first ever tutorial with Cruz simulations. Now, this tutorial is in a different format, so it's a hybrid pre-recorded slash live format. So I'm actually streaming it live right now privately with no live chats, as you can see, and later on it will be published to the public after the recording's done. So if you're watching it right now, then I guess this first tutorial went successfully and Cruz simulations hit from private to public on this stream. So yeah, I decided this type of format because one, it's easier for me and no editing needed, and number two, I think it's always better to do it in real time, you know, proper natural flows, and you know, it's good. I just preferred, you know, as essentially I will still be doing the same thing anyway, so if I'm actually doing this in one of my regular live streams, but without diving into some extra information like this tutorial. And so that also you guys were able to follow along. So yeah, let me know later in the comments down below if you guys like this type of content or tutorial. So yeah, now for first ever tutorial in the channel, as you can see in the title, is how to start the Airbus without an APU or when an APU is inoperative. Before I get things started, full disclosure first, I am not a real world Airbus pilot, but hopefully soon. We'll see about that. So I won't be able to explain to you guys each step by the book, so I don't have an FCOM or manual or have any experience flying the aircraft, but I would love to flying it in real life. So yeah, but I will still try my best to explain completely the procedures in my tutorials off the top of my head. So I'll be doing this tutorial from a flight simmer's perspective, like myself, who already has more than 1,000 hours with this aircraft, and that leads to the second point. This tutorial is for entertainment purposes only, as I always mentioned in the description in every single one of my streams as well, and this is not to be used in any real world procedures. So this tutorial also only provides extra bits of information and procedures to your normal everyday flight simming experience, as we perform some non-normal procedures while having the full comfort in your home. Right, so now that's finally out of the way, let's get started. Today we are here at Singapore. I'm pretty sure you already know, can tell where we at right now from that beautiful dual structure there, that terminal. So yeah, we are here at Singapore, Changi Airport, and with Cebu Pacific A321 rocking the CFN motors, just the CEO. So yeah, this Cebu Pacific, one of their oldest, still actively flying A321 with the new livery. Hope you guys like that livery. I like it as well. Yeah. All right, so let's make a scenario, shall we, for this first tutorial. So let's say it's the last leg of the day after flying multiple legs, a medium haul here to Singapore from Philippines, and you had a long day. We're getting close to sunset, as you can see here behind us. And we had an aircraft change, either maybe from A330, A320, A321 Neo to an old Airbus A321 that has an APU or auxiliary power unit deferred or inoperative. So normally we'll see an MEL sticker. If we get back into the cockpit, we'll see an MEL sticker up here. And we all know that during on-ground operation, APU provides multiple things: bleed air for the cabin conditioning coming from low spool-driven load compressor. What else? Obviously, main engine start capability and electrical power. And now it is not uncommon to have an APU inoperative because this aircraft spends most of its time in the air day and night. They're averaging about 7 to 8 hours every day. So it's more than likely there will be some systems that can get inoperative here and there, and one of them can be the APU. So right here I started the master switch before the stream starts, so there you go. We do have flap open message, but if I press start, it won't say on, so it won't start on us. So I'm going to turn off the APU. APU is definitely inoperative. Yeah, so how are we gonna provide electricity and bleed pressure into the cabin if we don't have an APU? Well, other than external power or GPU that we have currently providing electricity, the aircraft, as you can see here, and the GPU comes either from the ground or from the jetway. Normally, nowadays we're getting the external power from GPU, but that depends on the airport. In this case, we're getting our external power from the jetway, as we can imagine. So number one, well, we got electricity. How about the bleed pressure? So we get those from an air start unit from the gate, or an ASU, or a high pressure unit, or a ground start unit, whatever you could want to call it. They're all just the same. So you guys may hear me saying ground start unit, air start unit different times, but they're just the same. So yeah, I will show you a photo later on about what they look like, because unfortunately for ToLiss, they haven't modeled the ground surface, the animated surfaces, like the extra power, high pressure air, low pressure air. Only the chocks. Yeah, only the chocks. As you can see here, reserved for future extension. I don't know when that's gonna happen. It's been like that for a while now. However, if you guys have flight factor A320, I know many of you guys have the flight factor A320 or other Airbus in simulators, Phoenix A320, whatever. Yeah, it is modeled. Flight factor A320 is surprisingly modeled, and the way it sounds like it's probably just recorded from an actual high pressure unit, or air start unit, ground start unit, whatever wanna call it. So I mentioned flight factor A320. So this tutorial works as well as the other variants of the Airbus narrow body, such as the ToLiss A319, Phoenix A320, Aerosoft Airbus Extended, FS Labs, Airbus, their Airbus narrow bodies. I think it also works well with the wide body Airbus as well. So I am not sure about that. I think they do, because they pretty much share almost the same systems. Let me know in the comments down section below. So we're here, last flight of the day, go home leg to Manila. As you can see, it's a 3-hour flight to Manila right here, from Singapore to Manila, Philippines, right here. All loaded up and ready to go. I just finished the departure briefing with the imaginary first officer. So let's go ahead and close our doors and dismiss the ground crew. Dismiss the ground crew, hit the drive away, and ground handling closes the doors automatically for me here. So yeah, let's see. Drive away the trucks, and let's see what's next. I'm gonna show you guys what the ASU looks like. So here's the photo. So here is the ASU air start unit, what it looks like. Now this car is really loud, that you can hear it from the cabin. It's really like high pitched noise. If you have flight factor A320, you know what it sounds like. It's really loud. The way we configure this aircraft, this ASU, is to connect to an external air hose under the belly fairing, as you can see on this photo right here. So I'm gonna go outside. Imagine that we're gonna get our air start unit from here, and then the hose goes all the way underneath that belly, the aircraft belly fairing. So it will provide high pressure air to start the engines. So typically in this configuration, you're going to start engine number 2 first, because most of the time they place the ground cart in the left side of the what do you call that? The engine. Of the aircraft, just in front of the left engine, I should say, and they run that hose underneath the engine number 1 here and under the belly fairing. And here's another photo. I got this from Google Images, and this photo is from YouTube. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. Air start unit with the Airbus, recorded from the cabin. It's really loud, as you can see if you guys just search on YouTube. It's the only one that I see out there. So yeah, and here is why we don't want to start engine number 1 first. Once we are done using the high pressure air unit, of course, to disconnect, we don't want somebody walk to the side where the engine is running. So yeah, that's why we start engine number 2 first. But no, it's not a rule, or it's not a requirement to have that you have to start the engine number 2 first. You can start engine number 1 first, but a lot of times here in the United States, at least what I've seen, is that we start engine number number 2 first, because they put the air start unit on the left side. So yeah, a lot of times we start engine number 2 first, you know, for the safety of the ground crew, right here. So yeah, but it all pretty much just depends on where the air start unit is located. If it's on the other side, then yeah, for sure, obviously, you're gonna start engine number 1 first. So get back in the cockpit, up to the overhead. So what we need to do is first to isolate the airflow into the cabin. because when we connect the AirStar unit into the cabin, you don't want to blow any unclean air into the cabin or into the packs, and those air may include some pathogens that may cause bad allergies or other bad things comes into your lungs, and you don't want to be inhaling those as a passenger. So we're gonna turn off both packs right here. Turn off both packs, and we're also going to turn off engine number 1 bleed. And the receiving engine number 2, who's gonna receive the high pressure from the AirStar unit, is number 2, engine 2 bleed. We're gonna leave that on. So I'm also going to open the cross bleed valve. So the Airbus did a really good job of depicting what's going on in the cockpit, as you can see here. So this is the ground high pressure that comes in when the hose connects in the aircraft, and when the bleed being shut here, engine number 1, the high pressure air that comes from the AirStar unit is going to be forced to be redirected to the number 2 engine. So if the cross bleed valve is in auto or shut, it's not gonna allow the air pass through this cross bleed valve. So we need to manually open the cross bleed valve in order to get the high pressure air to the receiving engine, which is engine number 2. All right. So in this configuration, we are now ready to connect the AirStar unit. So I'm gonna contact the ATC first. Say Cebu 814. We are ready for. We're requesting for engine start from the gate, and we're advised ready for taxi. And so here now, as we've been cleared for the ATC, Roger. Cleared to start engines on the gate and advised ready for taxi. So yeah, we're gonna contact the ground. So cockpit to ground. Ground's gonna say ground to cockpit. And so cockpit to ground, please connect the high pressure air unit. We already connect the high pressure air unit. So that for thing to work, I'm gonna put this to I don't know why. There we go. Ignition start, so that you guys can see how it's happening. As you can see, the PSI is 0 here. So if I connect the high pressure air, let me check if the door is not close on this one. So I'm gonna reconnect the high pressure air, and there you go. As you can see, the PSI goes up. That's from the ASU that's being reconnected, and this one being connected already. Okay, so yeah, for the ATC, that is good. We are going to start engines on our gate, so that is good, and we'll advise ready for pushback. So we are now clear to start the engines. Let's do a before start checklist, shall we? So cockpit prep completed, gear pins, covers removed, signs on and auto, air deers we are navin, fuel quantity 14.9, required 15.2 on board. Takeoff data is set, barrel ref 1008 is set once, set twice, so there you go, set twice and set 3 times. And then below the line, windows and doors close and arm beacon, it is we can now turn that on actually, and that will dismiss our jetway. That's why our doors are still open. Mobile phones is off, thrust levers is idle, and parking brake is set for now. Let's go ahead and actually start our
ground cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
There we go.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving.
Press for pushback tug. So at this point we can start our engine number 2. Ignition switch to ignition start. We do have bleed pressure from the high pressure cart ASU. See, I just mixed those names. Let's go ahead and start engine number 2. All right, start number 2. High pressure air start in ASU. I'll put on my sound, make sure it's good. All right.
Lieutenant, please average your departure, cross check, and I'll call.
All doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Really nice. Love that humming sound start with the CFMs. Alright, I heard that. And we do have a good start on the engine number 2.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Standby. So ignition switch back to normal. In the overhead, back of the overhead, we will leave it exactly like this for now until we disconnect the air start unit. So I'm gonna contact the ground, and we can disconnect the air start unit. Cockpit to ground, ground to cockpit. Cockpit to ground, we got a good start on engine number 2, so you can go ahead and disconnect the air start unit. Roger that, disconnecting high pressure air start unit. Disconnect you. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the chrono, leave it for about 30 seconds, set a timer for about 30 seconds or so, and wait for the bleed air to flush out all the systems and other residual pathogens mentioned earlier, or anything that's in the packs, and just let it flush out of the exhaust, and that's why the packs are still off for now. So, and also we no longer needed the external power. So it's important to disconnect the external power. If not, if the external power is still on and then got disconnected from the ground, it may cause an injury to the ground crew. So before we disconnect the external power, I'm going to show you guys on the ECAM, the ELAC page right here. So right now, the external power right here is powering the AC bus 1. And as soon as we disconnect the GPU, or external power, Gen 2 right here is going to feed both of the electric buses. So I'm gonna disconnect now. There we go. Little flicker there. But that's the bus transfer, electrical transfer. And now Gen 2 is now powering both AC bus 1 and AC bus 2. So this is a single end generator operation, which is completely normal. And we have 33% load, 115 volts, 400 hertz with the IDG temperature, within temp limit, I should say, at 30 degrees Celsius. Gotcha, that's completely normal. So that is good, all normal. That's good. So we're gonna go ahead, contact ground, cockpit to ground, ground to cockpit. You may now also disconnect the external power and chocks. Or to that, disconnecting chocks and external power. And at this point, we can now call for a push. It's already connected on us, so we'll go ahead and start our push and start the timer.
Starting pushback.
Have the chrono for now. All right. Sweet. Now it's a summer, by the way. Also, it's really hot, and we can go ahead and start the packs. Number 2. It's probably really hot right now. 28 degrees Celsius outside. It's probably really hot right now inside the cabin. Yeah, 42. Yep. Passengers will not be comfortable in that one. That's off. That should be off. There you go. Now outside. That's good. Right. So. From there, we'll continue our pushback operation, and we will not gonna do anything like flaps, spoilers, or any configuration during the pushback. You may hear some PTU noises because we don't have the green hydraulics running from the engine number 1. Yeah. Okay. And also, as you can see in the message here, nose wheel steering disconnect. That is normal. We will have a cumulative pressure on the parking brake after pushback, when we set the parking brake. So to start engine number 1, we are going to be performing a cross bleed engine start, and cross bleed is providing bleed pressure from what we got engine number 2, and gonna transfer to engine number 1 bleed. No, we are it's highly prohibited to start the engine during pushback with the cross bleed procedure, and you'll find out later on. So far so good. Last leg of the day. 3-hour flight, Singapore to Manila. What we're gonna do, a cross bleed engine start and holding at November. So we are here. I'm gonna taxi to November, cross bleed engine start right here. We're gonna stop.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Alright, the brake set, clear to disconnect. Show me pins on my right.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
I'll show you guys. Oops.
Tow is disconnected and badge pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight. Good deal.
Alright, thanks for the push, and we'll see you next time. Alright, and that's it. We're gonna do a after start checklist down 0.3 and flight pitch trim there, down 0.3, rudder set to 0. Let's go ahead and taxi. So we're gonna be using number 2 throttles and do a taxi. Of course, we're gonna request for ready for taxi to ATC. A14 ready for taxi, and that's gonna give you clearance. Right now, currently Unicom, no ATC here, so we're gonna commence our own clearance. So Cebu 814 taxiing to runway 20 right via Victor 13 Quebec Victor, and then Papa, and then we're gonna hold short at November to perform a cross bleed engine start, and we will advise when we are ready to continue taxi to runway 20 right via Whiskey and yeah, Singapore traffic, and that's how you do it. The light, it is it on? It is on. So let's continue taxi. So I'm gonna put you guys in wing view, and you guys are gonna hear this. You guys probably heard this before. You're a passenger. There we go. You hear that barking? I'll turn up the sounds. You guys heard that barking? And that's that's the PTU trap. That's a power power transfer unit. So that is the reason why we don't start engine number 2, or else you're gonna hear this all the time during taxi. Right here. Okay. So you know what? We're gonna put the hydraulics page here. Let's see where did I go? If I can find it. There we go. Hydraulics. So the PTU is taking pressure from the yellow system, and it is trying to pressurize the green hydraulics. That's why you guys are hearing that PTU. So yeah. that's why we always start engine number 1 first. But this is one of the rare occasion, at least here in the United States, we start engine number 2 first. But it's not too bad. It's not too long of a taxi. We're gonna turn left here in November, and then we're gonna stop and perform a cross bleed engine start. Pull down the cabin. Getting dark, I can, and it doesn't help there if I turn up the cabin lighting. Sunset, yep, last leg of the day. I guess just turn up the brightness of your monitor. So yeah, we're gonna hold short here. Yeah. it doesn't hurt to call ATC again, Unicom, that you're gonna be holding short. So Cebu A14 holding short in November, gonna perform on crossbleed engine start. We're gonna advise call again, we're ready for taxi. So runway 20 right. Alright, crossbleed engine start. So the receiving engine is gonna receive engine a bleed right here. So the configuration is you can turn on the packs number 1 on already if you want. It's optional. Configuration for cross bleed engine start. Engine 2 bleed, the supplying engine, which is number 2 bleed, will remain on, and cross bleed valve will remain on, will be open. I'm gonna supply a bleed air bleed pressure to the engine number 1 bleed. Receiving engine, we're gonna turn this off because the bleed valve of the receiving engine is closed to avoid reverse flow leakage. So we're gonna leave as it is. So what we're gonna do, parking brake is set. I'm gonna turn the ignition to ignition start. It's just a normal start here. As you flip that switch, the bleed pressure is gonna drop. There you go, 24. It is not enough. We are looking for at least 25, 26, but I highly recommend 30 psi right here. So how are we gonna do that? We're just gonna spool up the engine throttle and engine number two throttle without exceeding 40%, 50%, and N1, depending on company standard operating procedures. So we're gonna look for, let's see, about 30 to 40. So that should be good. Put about a little bit. So that is good, about 30 psi. So that's about 25 percent and 1. There we go. Put it back, engine page. So from there we can start engine number 1. So this is why you don't want to start this procedure while pushback, because you're using more thrust on engine number 2. And start engine number 1. Pull up the so we get thing of the air supply check. We're gonna add more. So yeah, I don't know why it went down to 25. So we're gonna do 40. No, not 40. There you go. I think my throttle slid down there. So I guess yeah, let's do 40, and there you go. The engine should start. Should start there. So if you don't they provide enough thrust there, enough bleed pressure there, you'll get that message. I think I need to tighten up the thrust levers on my thrust master here. Because out of the box, when I first bought it, the throttle slides down itself. So I'll give you about 35 psi, like that. It's 35, 40 psi. Again, I don't know the maybe standard operating procedures of Tom. So there we go. Engine 1 is available. That is good. Good start on engine number 1. With the master caution. Air bleed 1 off. We can now do the lights off configuration. Engine 1 bleed can come off. We'll need to put the ignition start mode to normal. Shut the cross bleed valve to auto. If I mentioned cross feed earlier, I do apologize. It's cross bleed. Don't get that mixed with cross feed. It's cross bleed pressure. I'm gonna put the packs number 1 on. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Continue on normal procedures. The engine number 2 to idle. Flaps will config 1+F. Arm just the ground spoilers. And that's pretty much it. Continue on taxi. Singapore traffic, Cebu A14 to continue taxi to runway 20 right via Whiskey. Now hold short Whiskey 1, Singapore. Okay, what we're gonna do here is do a mini briefing with the departure. Let's do it. So, mini brief for the departure. We're going to runway 20 right, and the flaps config 1 plus F. Fuel quantity is 14.9 required, 15 on board. V speeds, check the V speeds, 152, 152, 156. Config 1 plus F. Transition altitude is actually 11,000 feet here. We're gonna change that. There you go, 11,000 feet. And we're gonna be departing off from Toman 4 Foxtrot, the departure. 20 right, and no restrictions here. And first fix is Lidox. And yeah, any questions? No questions. Mini brief is completed. Also, after start checklist, completely forgot about that. Anti-ice is now required. ECAM status, it is checked. Rudder trim is set to 0. Pitch trim is down. 0.3 is set. After start checklist is complete. Let's do before. Do a flight controls check. There we go. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Rudders. Full left. Full right. Neutral. That's complete. We can ding the cabin. Cabin cruises for departure. Auto brake set to max. Takeoff config we check. Takeoff config normal, all green. Turn on the weather radar, on and auto. There we go, system 1. It's captain's side. That is good. All good. Really dark here. My taxi light is on. Yeah. Let's go ahead, entering the runway. No, he didn't hear anything Unicom, so it's like it's clear nobody's coming into the right. So Singapore traffic, Cebu 814, lining up runway 20 right. Singapore. Put you to TARA. Do a rolling takeoff, shall we? Alright, Singapore traffic, Cebu 814, rolling down, right 20 right, Taman 4 Foxtrot departure, Singapore. Spood above 50. Turn up the sounds. Phono's on. Mantoga, SRS runway, auto thrust is blue. Thrust set. 100 knots, check. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Nav, check. And of course, every live stream we do a flyby. We're going home. There we go, lever climb. Pitch down. Wait for the positive tread on airspeed. There you go. 2 clicks back. Love that sound. So we're gonna say a thrust climb, climb, auto thrust. It's just straight out departure. You can fly manually if you want, but I'm gonna turn on the autopilot one. So we're gonna wait for a flaps up configuration after takeoff checklist, and that would be it for this tutorial. Sweet. And there is S speed, flaps up, speed check, flaps up. Flaps up, runway turn-off lights can come off. 52 off as well. Exit lights 2 off. And after after takeoff checklist, the landing gear is up, flaps retracted, packs both on, and battery ref 1008 passing 3,900 feet. After takeoff checklist is complete. And that is it, folks. I really hope you guys I really hope you guys found something valuable, learned something new, and tried something new on your normal everyday flight sim with your Airbus. And if you get into this point of this tutorial, I just want to say thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy that. Once again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this format for the tutorials, and what other tutorials you guys wanted to see in the future here in the channel. And I know the channel is growing a lot lately, and I highly appreciate it. You guys rock. So appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for all your continued support, those of you who are still with me. But yeah, we will keep on growing, so hit that like button on your way out, and subscribe for more content like this. And yeah, and hit that notification bell button to get notified whenever I go live, or if I post a new tutorial. So yeah, thank you guys. Please take care, stay safe, and stay healthy. This is Kyle with Cruise Simulations, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.